How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Rumi's Room, and today we will be discussing the Season 8 finale of HBO's Game of Thrones. After a decade of television, 8 seasons, and 73 hours of watch time, the story of the battle for the Iron Throne has finally reached its disappointing conclusion. There were so many things wrong with the season, I honestly don't even know where to begin. However, I'll cover the rest of the season in another video, but for today, I just want to look at what was wrong with this season finale. So the episode begins with Tyrion and Jon walking through the aftermath of Dany's slaughter of King's Landing. The city looks like it has just been carpet bombed for 3 weeks straight, and although the visuals look amazing, unfortunately for its people, there doesn't look to be many survivors left. However, of the survivors that are left, we run into what remains of the Lannister army who are currently about to be executed by the Unsullied. I think this is only one of 2 times during this entire episode that Jon Snow does something that's actually consistent with his character, which is to step in for the Lannisters and try to prevent the executions from happening since they are now prisoners. After things get tense between Jon and Grey Worm, Davos intervenes and suggests they speak to the Queen herself to try to change her mind. Meanwhile, Tyrion explores the Red Keep to see if there was a chance that Jaime might have escaped. However, he soon realizes not only did he lose Jaime, but he lost his sister Cersei as well. Peter Dinklage delivered a beautiful performance here, because even though Tyrion hates his sister, you can just feel that he's still truly heartbroken for being instrumental in the death of her and Jaime. Daenerys returns with Drogon with some pretty cool imagery symbolizing that Daenerys has fully become a dragon/Targaryen. Jon reconvenes with her where she delivers a speech to the celebrating Dothraki and Unsullied below. The speech is very ominous, and something about her fascist undertone about liberating the world, the black and red Targaryen flag, and the destruction of King's Landing was reminiscent to me of a scene straight out of World War II. At this point, as if he wasn't stupid enough this entire season, Tyrion feels the need to meet with Daenerys instead of fleeing. She accuses him of treason for freeing Jaime earlier, and he points out that she slaughtered an entire city before throwing his hand at the Queen Pin away. Daenerys orders her guards to take him prisoner, which apparently is a thing now. She never took prisoners before, just murdered an entire city full of kids and babies, but yeah, totally makes sense to take Tyrion prisoner. Why, so he can be held on trial? Since when did Daenerys Targaryen ever hold a trial? Anyways, at this point it's snowing ashes so badly that it looks like King's Landing was hit by a snowstorm. I honestly really like this visual choice because it kind of runs with the whole winter is coming theme that we've been worried about for so long, but now it's here in the form of a Targaryen in ashes, which is kind of consistent with the whole Song of Ice and Fire concept. Anyway, Daenerys leaves and Jon runs into Arya. Jon tries to make Arya understand that no matter what happened and what she did, Dany is your queen now. Arya reminds Jon that Sansa will never accept Dany as her queen and bend the knee, and that Jon should also remember, based off his real identity as Aegon, he will always be a threat to her. This is the only logical assumption to make based off Daenerys' character change, and the fact that she explicitly stated that Jon betrayed her by telling Sansa and Arya the truth about his identity. However, as with the rest of the season, we will see that all logic goes straight out the window. Jon then goes to visit Tyrion in his prison cell because apparently Tyrion not only gets to be a prisoner, but he's allowed visitors as well. Tyrion reflects on his regrets and on mortality before diving into the heart of the conversation regarding Daenerys. Jon Snow wasn't always the brightest character in this show, but his heart was always in the right place and he always did the right thing. When it came to morality, he never shied away from his principles. Even though he had to risk foregoing his loyalty to the Night's Watch, he let the wildlings in because it was the right thing to do. Even though the wildlings had killed his friends and they were at war, he saved them because it was the right thing to do. Even though he didn't want to at first, he swore allegiance to Daenerys because it was the right thing to do. Now, he's just an idiot, and the writers actually try to use him, the most honorable man in the entire show, to try to justify Daenerys' actions. Right after he literally said that he won't try to justify it. What the fuck, man? However, although Jon has completely lost his sense, Tyrion for the first time this season suggests something that is actually useful. That suggestion, of course, is that he has to kill Daenerys to save the world from facing a similar fate to King's Landing. Tyrion also then suggests that Jon will always be a threat to Daenerys because of his true heritage, which, like I mentioned earlier, is a logical thing to assume, but this is season 8 of Game of Thrones, so what is logic? Jon leaves Tyrion visibly shaken and conflicted by the conversation. Daenerys finally makes it to the throne room where she stares at the Iron Throne before touching it. We've seen this scene many seasons ago when Daenerys sees herself in the same room in a vision. Before she can fondle the throne any longer, Jon comes in to speak with her. I think this conversation is the last attempt by Jon to gauge Daenerys' morality, but when she shows no remorse for burning young children, he makes up his mind on what he must do. Now this next part makes absolutely no sense. Remember Jon's true heritage? Remember how Dany begged Jon not to tell anyone his true heritage? Remember how she said it was betrayal because he did? Remember how she executed Varys for telling people Jon's true heritage? Remember how Arya warned him that Dany sees him as a threat? And remember that Tyrion told him the same thing too? Well, fuck all of that, because the logic of these brilliant writers of this show is to throw all this shit out the window because this next part makes no fucking sense.
All the other people who think they know what's good.
They don't get to choose. Be with me. Build the new world with me. This is our reason. It has been from the beginning, since you were a little boy with a bastard's name. And I was a little girl who couldn't count to 20.
What the actual fuck? After all of that, after all those warnings, after all that trouble about Jon's heritage, she's asking him to build a new world with her. I actually cannot fathom how a show this good can sink to writing that's this bad. Anyways, so after they embrace, Jon stabs Dany, killing her. Drogon finds out, and instead of killing Jon, flexes his fire-breathing ability by melting the Iron Throne and then flies away with Dany's body. The second part of this episode isn't much better. 3 weeks have gone by and Tyrion is still a prisoner where he's led by Grey Worm to the lords and ladies of Westeros to answer for his crimes. Sansa, among the people, demands for Jon to be brought as well, but Grey Worm refuses, who clearly wants not only Jon dead but Tyrion too. However, they agree that their fate is for the new king or queen to decide, not Grey Worm's. Tyrion suggests why don't they, the lords and ladies of Westeros, decide amongst themselves who the new king or queen should be. Sansa's uncle tries to give a speech but is quickly silenced. Samwell proposes a form of democracy but is laughed at and not taken seriously. Tyrion suggests that people are united not by flags, ideas, or armies, but by stories, and according to him, who has a better story than Bran Stark? Honestly, literally everyone. Everybody has a better fucking story than Bran Stark. Even Hodor has a better story than Bran Stark. Now don't get me wrong, Bran's story had the most promise and potential, but the potential to Bran's story was rooted and mirrored in the Night King's story, and when he died, Bran became irrelevant. When Tyrion asks Bran if he would be their ruler, Bran responds with, "Why do you think I came all this way?" What the fuck? Wasn't it literally just 2 episodes ago that Tyrion was asking Bran about why he didn't want to be Lord of Winterfell, and Bran just said, "I don't really want anymore." But now, he's saying that he came all this way to be king. Like I said, this season has absolutely zero logic and consistency. Everyone agrees to let Brandon be king based off Tyrion's 1-minute speech about stories with no disagreement. If only Westeros actually worked that way. Sansa understandably doesn't agree as she wants the North to remain an independent kingdom, which makes sense. However, if she wants an independent kingdom, wouldn't most other lords want their kingdoms to remain independent as well? Wouldn't that be the logical conflict that follows afterwards? And that honestly would have been a better ending than Bran being king. Everyone disbands the 7 kingdoms, and we now have warring states. But nope, it's cool. Brandon the Mute can be king, and Sansa can be independent, and all of us are cool with that, with no disagreement. We wrap up the story for the Iron Throne here before wrapping up the story of the Starks. Sansa becomes queen of the North, Jon gets sent to the Wall, and Arya wants to be Christopher Columbus now. And that's it. That's the finale for one of the greatest TV shows of all time, ruined in just 6 episodes. Honestly cannot believe how the writing could have gone so bad in 1 season. I would have never imagined that this show would have been destroyed like this. What makes matters worse is that they had 2 years instead of 1 to write this season. But this is what we ended up with. No Night King explanation, no more talk of the Lord of Light, no Azor Ahai prophecy, no more talk of the Children of the Forest, just some forced drama, rushed storytelling, and character development thrown out the window. Thank you guys for visiting Rumi's room, and I hope you all have a great day.